why is this such a beautiful moment? How could this be a beautiful moment when the entire world seems to be collapsing? We can see external power and authentic power in dramatic contrast. That contrast allows you to choose between them. Now, what would you rather have? Harmony, cooperation, sharing, and reverence for life, or discord, competition, hoarding, and exploitation? We all know what the second one feels like. It's everywhere. But what about the other world? We've never experienced that as a species. But that's where we're headed. To align your personality with your soul is now the requirement of our evolution. And the pursuit of external power is now counterproductive to our evolution. So now the contrast is becoming much clearer. But where is it becoming the most clear? Just look around you, look around me. You can see it even more clearly when you forget about looking around you, when you forget about looking outside of you and instead look inside of you. Welcome back. This is a big moment. It's an exciting moment. And why is that? We've talked about it before in terms of a brand new consciousness for the entire human species. We were 5 sensory, limited to the 5 senses. Now, we're not. We're not limited by the 5 senses. We can see more than the 5 senses can. We know that we're more than a body and a mind, for example. We talked about that. We know we're something more, and that more, in the Western religious language, is a soul. In the East, it might be called Atman. And farther east, it might be called your original face, but it doesn't matter what you call it. You know it's there. You know you're more than a body and a mind. That's the transformation from a species that's limited to the 5 senses to a species that's not limited to the 5 senses at all. And that means you begin to experience things that are non-physical but real. For example, intelligence, wisdom, and compassion that come from non-physical reality, that are real, but they're not physical. Intuition is the only way that 5 sensory humans could access that. And they thought intuition was just, and they think, those who are still 5 sensory, that intuition is just a happy accident, or it's unusual, to say the least. But they notice intuitions because sometimes they're remarkable coincidences. Multisensory humans know that what 5 sensory humans call coincidental intuition is not coincidental at all, not an accident at all. Their entire lives are meaningful incidences. Every second is a meaningful incident. It's not just one here and there out of a million meaningless, random experiences that has meaning suddenly there for you. Multisensory humans can see the meaning in every moment, in every experience. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. And you're going to experience it because you are human, and humans are becoming multisensory. About half of us now. And the other half are still 5 sensory who don't understand any of this. It is not because they're not intelligent or they're not brilliant or they're not sensitive. It's because there's nothing in their experience that they can anchor on to these words: non-physical reality, meaning, compassion, intelligence that's real, but not physical. Because the 5 sensory personalities, if it's not detectable by the 5 senses, it's not real. Well, that's a big change. That's what we've been talking about in the last few podcasts. Actually, since the first podcast, but especially in the last 3. Now, why is this such a beautiful moment? How could this be a beautiful moment when the entire world seems to be collapsing? I'm sharing this podcast at a time when the United States has a new president. The new president is doing things to disrupt the old order in a big way. But actually, from a multisensory perspective, he's not disrupting anything. He's trying to reinstate, to reestablish an old order that doesn't work anymore. The new order is multisensory perception, and it's not ordered at all. You create your experiences with your choices. So, where do we see the beauty of this contrast? Because everywhere that we look now, we see the difference between the pursuit of external power, which is the understanding of power that five-sensory humans have. It's the only understanding they can have. And that is power as the ability to manipulate and control. That's external power. And that's what five-sensory humans strive for. Because from their perspective, the more of it that you have, the more powerful you are. Money is a symbol of external power. If you got a lot of money, you've got a lot of external power. But that's not all. Weapons, police, military, these are symbols of external power. They enforce, make, control. Individuals conform. So, rank, uniform, weapons, radios used in this way, those are also symbols of external power. What are some other ways people can use external power? Think about it. How about sexuality? Oh my goodness. If you got muscles that are popping out of your arms, just do that in a crowd of young women who think that's cool. Have you got a body, if you're a young woman, that's shapely, according to contemporary standards? You know, in Renaissance times, I believe in Holland, shapely meant what we would call today overweight by quite a bit. But we have different temporary standards now in our culture. And if you have a body that fits that description, how many of you among you who are young women have used that, or older women have used that to manipulate? Have you got a brilliant mind? Do you ever use that to manipulate people? How about a sense of humor? How about that? Anything that you have or can have or have had that you use with the intention to manipulate and control people is an instrument of manipulation and control. And it's not the shape of your body. It's not your brilliance or your ability to do things with your hands. It's why you use it that makes the difference. It's the intention that you hold. What is your intention when you smile? Are you trying to sell a piece of real estate? Or are you smiling because you really like being with the person you're talking to? There's a big difference. The first one comes from your heart. It's natural. The second comes from a calculation. It's not heartfelt. It can look smiley. It can look open. It can look welcoming. But we are multisensory and we have intuition. How many times have you experienced somebody smile at you, but you're not impressed with their friendliness? The smile looks good, but something inside you tells you, don't trust this person. That's intuition. Intuition is the voice of the non-physical world. Can the non-physical world have a voice? Yes, it does. And whenever you experience intuition, you hear it. It's amazing to be multisensory, and about half of us are, but half of us aren't yet. In another generation and a half, we all will be multisensory, but not authentically powerful. The new consciousness brings with it a new potential of power, alignment of the personality with the soul. And at this moment in time, throughout the world, not just in the United States, but throughout the world, we can see in sharp contrast the difference between the old consciousness and the new, between the pursuit of external power and the creation of authentic power. We've never seen the contrast this sharply before. We've always seen the pursuit of external power. Every savagery, every conquest, every slaughter, every genocide, every invasion of one country by another, one culture by another, one human by another. All of that is the pursuit of external power, and we didn't know any other when we were five-sensory. Now we do. So we can see external power and authentic power, the alignment of the personality with the soul, in dramatic contrast. And this is good because that contrast allows you to choose between them. 5-sensory humans can't do that, but you can. And it's very graphic. To create authentic power means to align yourself with the intentions of your soul. Harmony, cooperation, sharing, and reverence for life. The new leader of the American government encourages discord, competition, hoarding, and exploitation. Now, what would you rather have? Harmony, cooperation, sharing, and reverence for life, or discord, competition, hoarding, and exploitation? We all know what the second one feels like. The discord, competition, hoarding, and exploitation. It's everywhere. By everywhere, I mean in the Earth School. The world that we are living in was constructed by 5-sensory humans with external power, by external power, to express external power, to teach external power. So that's very familiar with us. But what about the other world? Harmony, cooperation, sharing, and reverence for life? Not so much. We've never experienced that as a species, but that's where we're headed. Because to create that, to align your personality with your soul, is now the requirement of our evolution. And the pursuit of external power is now counterproductive to our evolution. It's not simply obsolete because it doesn't serve our evolution. It produces only violence and destruction. So look at what is being created in the world order, in the order in the United States, in the order in Latin America, in the order in Asia. As the stock market plummets because of unexpected transformations in the old order, all to accomplish the pursuit of external power, all to exploit for those who have the most external power. And who are they exploiting? Those who have the least external power. From the 5-sensory perspective, if you've got more external power, you're more valuable in the world. From the multisensory perception, nothing, no one is more precious than anything else. A butterfly is as precious as an elephant. A worm is as precious as a sage. Nothing is not precious. There's nothing in the universe that is more precious than you, and there's nothing in the universe that is less precious than you. So now the contrast is becoming much clearer. But where is it becoming the most clear? Some people would say in the world. Clearly, look at all the changes. Just look around you, look around me. You can see it even more clearly when you forget about looking around you, when you forget about looking outside of you, and instead look inside of you. What's happening there? That's where this contrast is remarkably graphic. From the old perspective, the old consciousness, no one can meaningfully think, well, don't look outside, look inside. Because from the old perspective, the old consciousness, everything in our consciousness is dependent on what happens outside. The stock market plummets and your retirement funds are suddenly less than they were before. You have an accident and you can't see, and that changes everything. You have a child and that changes everything. And the child dies and that changes everything. From the old perspective, what happens in front of your eyes has the power, and what happens behind your eyes doesn't. From the new consciousness, what lies behind your eyes has more power than what lies in front of them. So we're going to explore that, if you choose, to see if that's correct or not. And don't forget, I don't suggest that any of you take anything that I say as so because I say it. I suggest you never do that for anyone, even if they write books, even if they have a television show, even if they got a big podcast, even if they got so many likes they can't count them all. If you resonate with something that someone says in a good way, try it out in your life. See if that really brings you the fulfillment and the completion and the satisfaction and the contentment that you're looking for. And if it does, experiment some more. And if it doesn't, let it go. Just don't try to wear a shoe that pinches. Now here's the shoe I'm suggesting. That the universe is wise, alive, and compassionate. That fear exists only in one learning arena, this one. And I don't mean it in a derogatory way. It's a powerful learning environment. It's a learning environment of time and space and matter and duality. And in it, we learn the thing that's most significant, most necessary in order to grow spiritually. We learn choice. We learn the power of choice. We don't have the power of choice. We are the power of choice. You are a powerful and creative, compassionate, and loving spirit. From the old consciousness, you're none of that. You're a guy or you're a girl. You're male or female. You're black or you're brown or yellow. You're big or you're short. You're strong or you're not. You're smart or you're artistic. You're a carpenter or a mechanic or a welder or a sculptor. All of those things are differences. But they're all aspects of the earth suit that you're wearing, that your soul is wearing. So when you're repulsed or attracted to someone else, it's to their earth suit that you're repulsed or attracted. When you begin to look at what's wearing the earth suit, when you begin to look beyond the shell of appearance and into its interiorness, to see its essence, that is reverence, and that is a soul-to-soul connection. And then personality characteristics are not very important. I mean, when you see the friend that you love completely in a green dress and you don't like green, do you stop loving her? When you see him show up in sneakers that you don't like, do you stop loving him? No, it's just changes in a costume. But now that we're multisensory, we begin to relate to what's wearing the costume. And we learn that, and about that, we learn about our costume, about our personality, by looking inward instead of outward. And we can start this especially when we're experiencing a painful emotion. This is true when we're experiencing a loving or blissful emotion. But most people experience painful emotions most of the time, especially those people who are pursuing external power with the most vigor, the most righteousness, the most brutality, the most insensitivity, the most cruelty, the most unconfined ambitions. Well, look at the people who are running the government in the United States now, and you'll see all of those characteristics. They are the characteristics of fear. So this is really important to understand as we become spiritual beings. It's not these individuals that are our enemies. It's not these individuals that are our problems. It is the policies and the behaviors that they are following. These are the things that are necessary to change. But if we look at the individuals who are creating these policies and enforcing them and see them as the villains, then we become victims. Ironic as it seems at first, those with the most power who can never have enough look at themselves as victims. And they project that onto the world. My country is a victim. The rest of the world has been taking advantage of us, and now we're going to stop that. We're going to put ourselves on top again. We're going to be great again. But great, by that definition, means have more external power than anyone else. The United States pretty much does. But still, it's not enough for the new government. The issue to look at is not the individuals who have formed the new government and are enforcing new policies and reshaping policies that multisensory humans, humans who are aligning their personalities with their soul, disagree with. Multisensory humans have an allegiance to life. They disagree with policies that disregard life. They disagree with policies that disregard the earth, for example. From the 5th century perspective, the earth is pure geology. It's just a big rock with a molten core. And it doesn't matter how many times we drill into it or how much oil or water or gas or anything else, or gold or titanium that we take out of it. It's ours for the taking. Same way Americans, when they move west to their, quote, manifest destiny, those words mean this is ours. All of it's ours. But it's not. It belonged to people before we got here. By we, now I'm talking as an American myself. But there is no place in the world that was not initially inhabited by citizens of a culture that lived there, that treasured living there, and that were displaced by those cultures that arrived with more external power. So nothing of that is new, but what's new is the ability to see the stark, graphic, undeniable, harsh distinction between external power and authentic power. One, authentic power, is nurturing, it's life-giving, it's life-supporting, it's joyful, it's buoyant, it's connected with all of life, and the other is destructive, contracted, exploitative, disconnected, and in pain. The individual in the world with the most uncontrolled ambition is the most in pain. Well, from the new perspective, who would exemplify those individuals? Adolf Hitler? Mussolini? Mao Zedong? Joseph Stalin? These are just a few of recent examples. But many more examples, countless, go back to the beginning of our origin as a species, surviving by pursuing external power. Now, the pursuit of external power is poison to us. That very thing that used to be our good medicine, that we couldn't evolve without, is now toxic, and we cannot evolve with it. That is external power. And half the world is still searching for it, trying to change the world, to quell the pain of powerlessness inside. And how does that look in terms of behavior? Can't get enough. Can't get enough. Money, external power, appreciation, recognition. Can't get enough. The emptiness is bigger than an emptiness. It's a hole without a bottom. That's fear. That's the origin of fear. The origin of love, you might say, is the opposite. There's no such thing as abundance. People say, we need to live in an abundant world. We live in an adequate world. A world of love is a world in which everyone has exactly what they need, and their experiences are not good or bad, but appropriate for their spiritual development. Well, these are some of the big changes. And next time I'm going to explore in more detail how to find them experientially, somatically, in terms of your being on the earth, because that's where we are. And everything for us is here. And don't think this is a second-class, second-rate hand-me-down from heaven. It's not. It's a powerful learning environment. It is precious. And physical reality is the densest form of light, you might say. But it's holy. It's sacred. And it must be treated that way, just as our evolution and each of us must be treated that way. On the next podcast, we're going to look at how to examine that more closely, more intimately. and then what we can do with what we find. If you're enjoying anything you're hearing on this podcast, subscribe to it. Now, what do I mean by enjoy? Do I mean, is it entertaining for you? Does it make you laugh? Does it make you forget your worries? That's not what I mean. I mean, do you resonate with anything that I say as relevant, profound, and pertinent for you, not for the world, for you? Something that you can use, something that you can experiment with in your life. If you do, if you resonate, then subscribe, because there's more where this comes from. It comes from the universe, as do you. I'm going to give you a soul step. Take out your notebook and your pencil and write down anything that I've said in this podcast that you resonate with. Just make it a couple of words. You don't have to write a paragraph. You can if you want, if the resonance is that clear. And then do that again and again. Now, by the way, resonance doesn't always mean, hey, yes, that's it. I know it. That's what I want. It can feel just the opposite. You can resonate with something and recognize it. And at the very same moment, it activates a frightened part of your personality, a part of your personality that recognizes in an instant what that means for its life, what that means for what it has created, what that means for the external power that it has, what that means for its position in society, what that means for the position in its own psyche that it itself holds important. And because of that, it pushes away what it resonates with. It cannot look at it. That is resonance too. So write down all of the times that you resonated with anything that I said, or that you can remember that I said in past podcasts. And at the end of the week, read through what you've written down. Now, I went to a chiropractor once because I had a pain somewhere in my body, and he told me to do something. I came back the next week, and he said, how's the pain? I said, it's the same. He said, did you do the exercise? And I said, no. And he said, it works better if you do it. These soul steps work better if you do them. I'm looking forward to speaking with you again soon. I love speaking with you. I'm Gary Zukav.